This is a technical video demonstrating CronCat and how easy it is to add automation to your smart contracts. Any CosmWasm chain can have CronCat, which you can think of as like an automation layer to like build upon. So we're going to show like a toy example, and I'll turn our attention to this animated moon browser tab. This is a front end that's periodically querying Juno, and there's a smart contract on there storing a Boolean value, true or false, and it'll show a cartoon day or cartoon night based on whether the value is true or false. We can toggle this Boolean by calling a method called toggle. Actually, let's just call this directly for fun. So here is a command. This looks very familiar to developers. We are executing a method on this Boolean smart contract. It's called toggle, and it's from me. And there we go. Now we have daytime. We're going to create a CronCat task that says, hey, execute something for me in the future. Specifically, call toggle on this smart contract. So you don't have to be at your computer or your phone, like clicking or tapping on your wallet. It'll just execute. Now, some other time we can get into how this execution is fully trustless, utilizing a decentralized agent network. But check our security audited code for those details. To make a CronCat task that calls toggle, we'll first start with a JSON that demonstrates task creation on the command line. Then we'll get into creating a CronCat task inside a CosmWasm contract. This JSON defines the task we are creating. I won't go over all the fields, but encourage you to check out the anatomy of a task section in our documentation, because you can do powerful stuff once you understand it. It is right here. But let's highlight the first three keys. So here we have interval. This will execute every one block. Normally, I prefer to use a different interval type called cron. So an execution can happen, say, every like 6 hours or once a day, which is a normal cron specification. But we want to see our cute like day-night cycle like happen as fast as possible. So let's execute every single block, which on Juno currently is 6 seconds. Now, actions. This is very important. This is what do you want this task to do? You'll notice this is an array, so you can have multiple different actions here. We just have one, and we're saying call the Boolean contract. And what do we want to do here? We want to call the toggle method, which takes no parameters. So let's go back to our JSON here and show one last item. Stop on fail equals true. So I'm setting this to true, and it means that if my task tries to execute and fails, stop it, remove my task, and refund all remaining balances back to me. Easy. And like, let's talk about funds real quick. So in order for this automation like machine to work, we're incentivizing the agents who are the ones like fulfilling these tasks. So during task creation, we'll be attaching native tokens, like Juno in our case. Since ours is a recurring task, every block, each execution will like slowly chip away at those native tokens you provide. When the funds run out, the task is removed and any excess is refunded. You can remove a task yourself and get refunded the remaining balance. You can also add more native tokens to your task later, allowing it to like keep running for longer. So that's how funds work. Anyway, back to our CLI. Let's minify this and paste it into our command. So we can see this is going, and let's just let this kind of run for a bit and take a look at the documentation site. So here's the documentation, and we're going to be getting into how to do this inside your smart contract. This whole example we're talking about is here under the Boolean contract caller examples. This is a good reference for this example that we're going over. I do want to point out this integration SDK link. This one goes over 3 different crates that we have that will make task creation, handling the reply from task creation, as well as error handling very easy. So if we just scroll down here real quick, we'll see that this is using helper functions that are available. making task creation very easy inside your contract. So let's take a look at that too. So here's the Boolean contract caller that makes a CronCat task that will toggle the Boolean contract. So this is separate from the Boolean. Get the Boolean, got the one that calls it. There is a method called make CronCat toggle task. Let's take a look at that. Here we are basically just going to be saying, hey, we think your smart contract should be storing the CronCat factory address. This is never meant to change. So let's load that. Let's also load the state of the Boolean address. And here's really the sauce. We're going to create a CronCat task. This is from one of the integration crates that we've created. And this should look pretty familiar, very similar to the JSON. Again, we're doing it every block. These are in a bit of different order, but we have stop on fail, we have our action here. And actually this is even more readable in Rust, believe it or not, than in JSON. We have this task, we feed it into a helper called create CronCat task submessage. And as you know, submessages are basically how you do like cross-contract calls in CosmWasm. And you can get a response basically in an entry point called reply. So this creates that submessage, and then boom, you just say all is good, thumbs up, add a submessage, and you can see how that went essentially inside of a reply. This is what all replies really look like. You will get this message object. Over here, we will feed that into reply handle CronCat task creation. It's a mouthful. And this will give you a really great struct that will tell you all about the task. Probably the most important things that we can talk about in this video is the task hash that happened, which is deterministic. It is based on certain like particular fields, and also a version number. CronCat is using factory architecture that's pretty powerful, so we can actually be updating it as we go. You'll notice that we have like this question mark here. That's interesting because typically you're gonna have like a contract error enum. Here is mine. This is a procedural attribute macro we've created, and it will add a variant, some other stuff, and that makes it possible to have this nice little question mark so that if anything went wrong, we can throw a custom CronCat error, and that will get turned into your own contract error, and everything is just sort of clean. Lastly, we also have a test helper, this right here. We are using CW multitest, which is a common testing framework. I think it's really good. And what you can do is say, set up CronCat contracts, and this will do all of the background work in terms of like setting up the factory. It's sort of a long story how it all works. You don't even need to know why. All you need to do is just call this method and you will get back your app and you'll get all the addresses. So with these integration crates, you can really create CronCat tasks super easy. And of course, this example is a completely toy example. We're basically calling the world's simplest CosmWasm contract, flipping a Boolean. But this means that you can create a CronCat task that will execute on any smart contract, any method, giving whatever parameters you want. So really, this is so generic that the sky's the limit here. And we're not going to cover it in this video, but you can even take it a step further and do like if this then that, where I could say, I want to call this one contract, but I don't know what the parameters are yet. But I can get those parameters from a query to a different contract and like insert that into the execution. Again, we'll cover this in a different video, but this is like bonkers. And I think that people will be able to do very, very powerful things with this. I'm really excited for payroll coming to DAO. I think that's massive. This means that if you have a DAO that has a decent treasury, you can say, hey, we've got these like 16 people and they should get paid X amount every month or week. Why not every week? You can vote on a CronCat task to kind of do payroll and just set and forget. You don't have to bother anyone to come vote. I know that can be kind of bothersome sometimes. Besides that, speaking of DAOs, you can do like treasury management. And this bleeds into DeFi. I know for sure I want to use this for wind decks because I don't know about you, but I'm kind of sick of claiming and restaking on my trackpad. I know recently there was this awesome NFT that I did not get, the After the Filter NFTs on Stargaze, and those sold out in 8 minutes. If we're using CronCat, we're talking like, it could be like literally 1 block and the whole thing is like sold out if they're not using like whitelists or whatever. Automating tasks is a massive deal for blockchains, and Cosmos is going to be the first to benefit from this. It's going to be powerful. So hit us up, and note that on our website, cron.cat, you can get notified. I look forward to seeing what people build with this. I have lots of ideas. I cannot wait to be surprised by what people want to build with this.